Hey, you guys, I am going to start my first chapter book, and it is called Life as We Knew It. And this is the cover. It is by Susan Beth Pfeffer, and it is about a girl, Miranda, and Miranda is 15 years old. And the first part that I'm going to read today is what her life is like. Before an incident happens with a meteor hitting the moon. And when a meteor hits the moon, it kind of knocks the moon out of its orbit and creates more gravitational pull on Earth so that things start happening on Earth, like a lot more volcanoes and tsunamis and earthquakes. And so she has to deal with her whole entire life changing in a really drastic way. And so that's where we start, is what her life is like right now before the meteor hits. And it's about, she describes what her life is like in about 10 pages. It's written as a form of a diary. So this is in the spring, and it's May 7th. So Lisa is pregnant. Dad called around 11 o'clock to let us know. Only Mom had already taken Johnny to his baseball practice, and of course Matt isn't home from college yet, so I was alone to get the big news. Baby is due in December, Dad crowed like he was the first guy in the history of the world with a younger second wife about to have a baby. Isn't that great? You're going to have a little brother or sister. Of course, it's too soon to tell what it's going to be, but as soon as we know, we'll tell you. I wouldn't mind another daughter myself. The first one I had turned out so wonderfully. How would you like to have a baby sister? I had no idea. When did you find out? I asked. Yesterday afternoon, Dad said. I would have called you right away, but, well, we celebrated. You can understand that, can't you? Honey, a little private time for Lisa and me before letting the world know. Of course, Daddy, I said. Has Lisa told her family? First thing this morning, he replied. Her parents are thrilled. Their first grandchild. They're coming for a couple of weeks in July before you and Johnny visit. Are you going to call Matt and tell him? I asked. Or do you want me to? Oh, no, I'll call, Dad said. He's busy studying for his finals. He'll be glad for the interruption. It's great news, Dad, I said, because I knew I was supposed to. Be sure to tell Lisa how happy I am for her, and you too, for both of you. Well, you tell her yourself, Dad said. Here she is. Dad muffled the phone for a second so he could whisper something to Lisa, and then she took the phone. Miranda, she said, isn't it exciting? Very, I said. It's wonderful news. I'm really happy for you and Dad. I was thinking, she said. Well, I know it's way too soon, and I haven't even discussed this with your father yet, but would you like to be the baby's godmother? You don't have to answer right away, but do think about it, all right? That's the problem I have with Lisa. Whenever I want to get mad at her or just irritated, because she really can be immensely irritating, she goes and does something nice. And then I can understand why Daddy married her. Oh, of course, I'll think about it, I said. You and Daddy think about it also. We don't have to give it any more thought, she said. You should see the glow on your father's face. I don't think he could be any happier. I couldn't, Dad said, and I could tell from his laughter that he'd grabbed the phone away from Lisa. Miranda, please say yes. It would mean so much to us for you to be the baby's godmother. So I said yes. Well, I couldn't exactly say no. After that, we chatted for a while. I told Dad about my last swim meet and how I was doing in school. Mom still hadn't come back by the time I finally got off the phone, so I went online to see what's new with figure skating. A hot topic at Brandon Ehrlich's fan site is how good his chances are to win Olympic gold. Most people think not very good of a chance, but a lot of us think he has a real shot at medaling, and Ice is slippery and you never know. I think I'd like to take skating lessons again. I've missed it the past couple of years, and besides, it'll give me a chance to pick up news about Brandon. He isn't being coached by Mrs. Daly anymore, but I bet she still hears stuff. And maybe Brandon's mother would show up at the rink. When Mom got in, I had to tell her about Lisa. She just said that was nice and that she knew the two of them had wanted children. She and Dad have worked really hard on making it a good divorce. Matt says if they'd worked half as hard on their marriage, they'd still be married. I didn't tell her about how I'm going to be the godmother, assuming Lisa doesn't change her mind, which she's more than capable of doing. I feel kind of bad that I'm going to be the godmother, but no one said anything about Matt or Johnny being godfathers. Of course, Lisa and Matt don't get along very well, and maybe 13 is too young to be a godfather. I hope Lisa changes her mind and I won't have to deal with it. May 8th, not the greatest Mother's Day ever. I told Mom a while ago that I'd make dinner, and she decided to invite Mrs. Nesbitt. I can't say I was surprised, but I figured if Mom was having Mrs. Nesbitt over, I could ask Megan and her mom too. Only when Johnny found out it was going to be me and Mom and Mrs. Nesbitt and Megan and Mrs. Wayne, he said that was too many females in one room for him, and he was going to have dinner at Tim's instead. Mom always thinks it's a good idea for Johnny to spend time with Tim and his family because there are 3 boys and Tim's father is around a lot. She said if it was okay with Tim's folks, it was okay with her. I called Megan and told her to bring her history notes with her and we'd study for the test together, and she agreed, which is why I am so mad at her. If she hadn't said yes, it would be one thing, but she did, and I made enough meatloaf for 5 and salad. And then right before I started setting the table, Megan called and said she had decided to stay at her church and do something with the youth group. She'd gotten the dates mixed up, and her mother didn't feel like coming without her, so it was going to be 2 less for Sunday dinner, and she hoped I didn't mind. Well, I do mind. I mind because I've been looking forward to all of us having dinner together and to studying with Megan. I also figured Mrs. Nesbitt and Mrs. Wayne would be good people for Mom to talk to about Lisa's baby. Mom may not be best friends with Mrs. Wayne, but she's funny and she would have gotten Mom laughing. Megan is spending so much time at her church. She goes to services every Sunday, and she never used to, and she does stuff with the youth group at least twice a week, and sometimes more. And for all her talking about how she's found God, I think all she's found is Reverend Marshall. She talks about him like he's a movie star. I even told her that once, and she said that's how I talk about Brandon, like it was the same thing, which it isn't at all. Lots of people think Brandon is the best skater in the US right now. And besides, it isn't like I talk about him all the time and act like he's my salvation. Dinner was okay, except I overcooked the meatloaf, so it was a little dry. But Mrs. Nesbitt's never been shy with the ketchup bottle. After a while, I left her and Mom alone, and I guess they talked about Lisa and the baby. I wish it was summer already. I can't wait to get my driver's license. I also wish I was through studying for my history exam. Boring. But I'd better get back to it. Bad grades, no license. The rules according to Mom. May 11th. Got a 92 on the history test. I should have done better. Mom took Horton to the vet. He's fine. I worry a little bit about him now that he's 10. How long do cats live? Sammy told me she's going to the prom with Bob Patterson. I know I shouldn't be jealous, but I am. Not because I like Bob. Actually, I think he's kind of creepy. But because nobody asked me. Sometimes I think no one ever will. I'll spend the rest of my life sitting in front of my computer posting messages about Brandon Ehrlich and his future in figure skating. I told Megan about Sammy and how she always gets dates, and she said, the reason is there's always a man in Samantha. And after I got over being shocked, I laughed. But then Megan spoiled it by becoming the new preachy Megan And she went on about how sex before marriage is a sin and how you shouldn't date just to go out with guys, but because you were serious about making a lifetime commitment. I'm 16 years old. Let me get my learner's permit first, and then I'll worry about lifetime commitments. May 12th. I went to bed in a bad mood, and today everything just went worse. At lunch today, Megan told Sammy she was going to go to hell if she didn't repent soon, and Sammy got real mad, I don't blame her, and yelled at Megan that she was a very spiritual person and didn't need any lessons from Megan about what God wanted, because she knew God wanted her to be happy, and if God hadn't wanted people to have sex, he'd have made everybody amoebas. I thought that was pretty funny, but Megan didn't, and the two of them really went at it. I can't remember the last time the three of us had lunch together and enjoyed ourselves. When Becky was still healthy, the four of us did everything together. And then after Becky got sick, we grew even closer. Megan or Sammy or I visited Becky at home or at the hospital almost every day and called or emailed the others to say how Becky was doing. I don't think I could have made it through Becky's funeral without them. But ever since then, Sammy and Megan both changed. Sammy started dating all kinds of guys, and Megan got involved with her church. They've both changed so much over the past year, and I seem to be staying who I always was. Here I am going into my junior year of high school, and these are supposed to be the best years of my life, and I'm just stuck. The real reason why I'm in a bad mood is because I got into a big fight with Mom. Okay, I'm going to stop right here, and I like this book for a couple reasons. The first time that I read this book, it kind of taught me some different ways of what I would do if there were a real emergency, maybe with a like a natural disaster. So it does teach you that, but it also teaches you that friends come and go. And I think, especially when you're young, that you have friends and you think they'll be your friends forever. And I think that that's nice. And I think some people do have those type of friendships, but also people do change, and sometimes friendships change, and you kind of have to keep that in mind and not be disappointed when it happens. But anyway, I'm bird walking. So I will continue reading this. I will mark this just as chapter 1 to keep track of it. And I will post chapter 2 tomorrow. Have a great day, you guys.